All right, how does that look? Pretty good. Hey guys, how's it going? It'll take me a few seconds to make sure the stream is up and running for us. Okay. Just working on the audio here a little bit. Making sure it's all good. Hopefully it will be good now. Anyways, how are you guys doing today? It's Sunday morning here in the greenhouse, and I forgot my coffee. So I'm going to run and grab my coffee while this thing sort of regulates itself and gets the stream up and running. I do see that a few questions there. That was really good. So with your questions, it was good because I was able to go get a couple things, and that way we can answer the questions thoroughly. All right, I'm back. So let me just bring you guys back up here on the screen. Yeah, it's Sunday morning. It's quite early, 9 o'clock my time. I always have my coffee in the morning. I always film the videos in the morning too, and you'll see there's always a coffee cup in the background. I may only take 1 or 2 sips at the beginning, but at least it's there for me. So Antonia Orchids, are you still around? I will start with your question since it's first on the list. Antonia would like to know, I would like to talk about bromeliads. Oops, and then the screen just scrolled. I would like to talk a bit about bromeliads, how they're doing. I want to know how long it takes to bloom a pup. My pups are 8 months old. I want to be prepared. Well, I think they're all kind of going to bloom at different rates. I did grab some from back here, so let's see them. This guy here is so far my only bromelia that is actually like rebloomed from a pup, and they started growing last summer. I think this guy bloomed pretty early. And I'm just going to adjust the camera level up a little bit so you can see more of the background. How does that look? There, now you can see more of there. So this guy, he bloomed early this spring. He was on the east window. This side was facing the window, and it got the 2 blooms on it. This side, because there's 4 pups altogether, hasn't got any. So I think sunlight definitely plays a key. And then I decided since he's in bloom, I would move him down come about April. And I totally cooked him. I put him in the sun. Goosemannies don't like as much sun as some of the other bromeliads. So I learned my lesson there. I fried a lot of the nice young fresh leaves. But the flower remained. And this one that wasn't in the sun, he did pretty good. But so far, these 2 haven't rebloomed. And I mean, I'm not too worried. I don't like the idea of pushing them into bloom. I want the new bromelia to be at least the size of the main mother plant. So I think these guys bloomed a little bit early for me. Declared that you won't see the acne bromeliad. I no longer keep it in the house or in the greenhouse. It goes in the house because it's just turned into a beast here. So I'll sit it there. This guy here has the one mother plant still and 4 pups on it. It's in a clay pot. The clay pot is in another clay pot. And yeah, so far it hasn't, the pups haven't reached the size of the mother plant, but they're getting close. And it's been, well, not quite a year either, because I got this last early summer anyway, so it's been about a year. I don't see any bloom spikes yet, but again, I'm comparing it to the mother plant. So if you want these guys to grow faster, make sure you're like fuller feeding a little bit, some fish fertilizer or some seaweed fertilizer, or even just your normal orchid fertilizer. Really dilute it down. They would probably appreciate it. These guys like a lot of sun compared to the Guzmani, so it sits in my south window. And I think it's appreciating that the house doesn't get as cold either. What else do we have? Cacti lover. Talk about starting carnivorous plants. I want to start a collection like yours, but need a new greenhouse and don't know where to buy them. Well, and you're in the UK. I believe you guys all around there can ship between your neighboring countries pretty easily. So I would go online and find some UK carnivorous plant vendors. I know people from the UK that have shipped to Germany, so I assume that they could reciprocate as well. I get a lot of my plants out of Germany. If you can't find any online, I mean, here locally, Venus Flytraps are everywhere. They're in every hardware store and in every grocery store. Venus Flytraps are an awesome one to start with. They will grow perfectly in your climate outside. Put them in your sunniest spot. They are temperate, so they go to sleep in the winter. So depending on your winters, they shouldn't be any too much worse than ours are here. Just keep them sheltered and they'll just go dormant and come back next year. They need a temperature and light reduction for the winter time though, and then full sun. If you can't find any Venus Flytraps, I know these are Sarracenias, and I grew these from seed. I got them from a place in California called California Carnivores. Their seeds always seem to germinate for me, which is a bonus compared to stuff like eBay seeds and some of the other businesses that I've got seeds from. They just never germinate. So these are seed grown, and they would be the same sort of culture as the Venus Flytrap. You don't need a greenhouse. You don't want space inside. You just basically, these guys want to be as sunny and hot as possible in the summer, and then they need to go dormant for the winter. So as long as you're not down below -5, -8 Celsius, they should be fine outside. They're planted in a peat moss perlite mix, and you can see the water level here, so they never dry out. And these ones are 2 years old now, so they're doing good. This will be their 3rd year. Richard, how much sun should Cattleyas and Dendrobiums get? We live in New Orleans. Humidity is high. Also, what is the end temperature for these orchids? A very good question. There's no one answer to that. Let me just scroll back up to you. Cattleyas are going to tell you how much light they need. I'm just looking up at my Cattleyas right now, because depending on how much light they can handle, the leaves are going to do one of two things. The leaves are going to stay green. It means they're in a great amount of light. The leaves are going to go yellow, which means they're getting too much sunlight. I don't like the yellow leaves. Or the leaves are going to go red. They're going to get like a red tinge to them. I consider that more like a sunscreen, saying that, hey, I'm getting enough sun, back it off a little bit. But you're going to find Cattleyas, it depends on the species and the hybrid and everything else, how much light they get. On my top shelf, some of the Cattleyas go like bright red. I'll show you a little one here that goes red pretty easily. So this guy here, I'm just going to switch. I can make sure we're looking at the same thing here. This guy here is just a seedling. It's a couple years old, it does not even go on the top shelf anymore because it just can't seem to handle the light. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up on camera, but even the new growth has gone very red, and that's telling me that it has enough light where it is. Actually, it probably has a little bit too much light where it is, and I can back it off, which is why it's hanging under the top shelf. So I'll hang him back up. And let's see here. I'm going to grab a couple others. I cleared a whole bunch of space behind me with some plants that I thought we might talk about. And of course, we're not going to talk about those plants at all. So this is a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. Let's see if you can see here. The sun just came out. I'm going to have to lower the shade cloth. It has bronze leaves, telling me that it's getting enough light. This is on the middle shelf. And you know, there's a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. There's two Dendrobium Phalaenopsis right beside it that still have bright green leaves that are telling me that they could probably handle a little bit more light. So it doesn't matter too much about the species. You just got to read into the plant itself. It was a cloudy day today, so the shade cloth is up above me, but the shade cloth isn't on that wall. Hopefully it doesn't get too bright. All right. So KO, weird question, but is there a plant that you would really like but has never succeeded or found at stores? Like ones that I just simply can't grow, you mean? There's lots that I can't grow. My Drosophilums didn't make it. But yeah, there's lots. I kill lots of plants. Hi, Rudy. How do you mount a Phalaenopsis? Phalaenopsis are really hard once they're mounted. I have one that I mounted a few years ago. It's behind us there. It's doing okay. I find it doesn't quite, the roots just kind of go straight out into the air, and it doesn't get a whole lot of humidity from the moss that's behind it. I water and water and water. It's really high maintenance, and it looks like, well, it's doing better anyways. It's doing better. You can use fishing line for that. Make sure you don't cut into the plant. It will take a few years before the Phalaenopsis looks natural on there and starts hanging. Another thing I've been trying recently, where can I see one here? Okay, so this one here, I just did last night. And it's not a Phalaenopsis, but it would, in theory, work the same way. I'm just switching back to the screen so I can see what we're looking at here. This is Lilalia Millerii, and it is a rock-growing orchid. It doesn't like media much at all. It grows on rocks in the wild. And I had a clump of it, and it wasn't doing anything, so I divided it into three. And this one is on corkboard with no media other than itself. And I actually used cyanoacrylic, which is crazy glue. And I crazy glued the sucker to the rock, or to the wood. And hopefully it'll work. It certainly wasn't going to hurt the plant at all. I'm used to using cyanoacrylic glues for fragging corals and stuff like that for my reef tank in the house, and they're great. It's solid on there. So I did one on there, and I thought just in case it likes calcium, I also mounted one on a shell. So no strings, no nothing. It's on there good. I even mounted the hook with cyanoacrylic glue. So we'll see how they go, but might be an option for you. Hang those back up. And let's see. Antonio orchids, yeah, the acne is big. There's a couple more bromeliads back there actually that I've gotten recently. These guys are kind of cool as well. They're called the Cryptanthus. I got this guy for cheap because it had actually already bloomed, but it had a whole bunch of pups on it, and the pups are easy to replant. It's actually a terrestrial bromeliad, but yeah, kind of cool. So I really I'm looking forward to growing a Cryptanthus as well. Ace Bob, my Sarracenia has become completely red. Is that normal? As long as it's got some red genes in it to start with, it's probably normal. A lot of my SARs are red as well. The worst thing to see is if it's like the one that I showed you earlier there. It's a flava, so it's supposed to be sort of a light green. But if you have a red plant that is light green, it means there's not enough light. So I would say that you're probably getting good enough light with it if it's red. Sandbag. In one of your videos, you used 28xxx half strength for Nepenthes. For another video, you said you didn't believe in all the hype about the difference between the fertilizers. So, recommend for Nepenthes? Which one is that again, Sandbag? Can you be a little more specific? Is that what you? I don't know if that says Nepenthes or what that is. Thanks, Giovanni. Chart the fertilizer strengths for class of plants. I'm going to use them. Thanks. What would you recommend as a substitute for Spagna moss? There is no substitute for it, really. Other mosses I've heard can actually like hurt your plant if you go and grab some off of a tree. It can hurt your plant. Plus, it would be bringing in all kinds of potential parasites and stuff like that. Yeah, I would really try to search out sphagnum moss. If you need sphagnum, that's stuff to get. Is my Nepenthes Raja a fast grower or a slow grower? Same for truncata. I think Mohebdom, we've had the conversation about the truncata before. It's now growing lowland in the lowland chamber, so it gets it stays warm at night. It's no lower than 20 Celsius or 70 or so Fahrenheit, and it's growing good. It puts on a new leaf every month to 6 weeks, and the biggest picture in there is probably this big now, where the last time I think we talked about that plant, I don't even think it had a picture, or if it did, they were like little and dying fast. The Raja, it's done really good, I think. I mean, I've had it for almost a year now. It came in really, really tiny. So leaf span to leaf span, I would say is 3 inches now. And when it came in, I mean, it was tiny, probably a 1-inch leaf span. So I think it grows decently fast. It currently has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pitchers and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves on it. I also have a few seedling Rajas, and they are growing super fast. I don't know if you're able to see those. There we go. So you can see them in the container there. These guys here are from the first one of the 3. I only got 3 that germinated. Germinated in September. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March. They're like 6 months old. And one is a good size in there. So Steph Brown, any tips for pinguicula care? Just bought some to help with fungi net infestation. Are they Mexican butterworts, I'm assuming? Like the more tropical kind, not the temperate kind, to live in your house. They're pretty easy. These guys bloom for me all the time. They're just off screen here, I think. These guys, they bloom like all year long for me. And I don't do a whole lot to them. They have the same lighting as, what else is down there? My king sundews, my heliumphoras, and my hamadas. Yeah, pull off the dead leaves, which I don't do as often as I should. The media, I have a bit of calcium in the media, and just in the form of little shells. It just adds to the pH there, and they seem to like that. And they grow really fast. If I keep them in about this much water this time of year, and then in the wintertime, I do let them dry out. Not bone dry, just I let the tray dry out, and then I let the pots get a little bit lighter. You know how dirt, or in this case the soil, the media, changes color if it's starting to get dry? I don't leave it quite till that point. I don't want to see a dry pot, I don't want to see a dripping pot either. So, but yeah, they're fun little things, and they do keep the fungus gnats at bay. Oh, and as for temperatures for those guys, so the greenhouse in the wintertime is 13 Celsius at night, 55 Fahrenheit, and that's the winter low. In the summer high, they don't mind the heat either, so it gets to about 85 Fahrenheit in here, 30 Celsius. Theria girl, Des, I know your name is. Hey, how's it going? Your video helped to sex plants for me a lot. I have a female Alta, and I pollinated it and seems to be forming seeds. That's awesome. I just pollinated some Nepenthes up there as well. All I had was my Symbionensis male and my Ventrata, of all things female. But I noticed about 4 or 5 days after I pollinated them, the tops of the female seed pods actually went black. I have 2 different spikes on my Ventrata, and I pollinated one completely and one not at all. And the ones that I pollinated, they all have like black tops to them now. And the other side is still completely green because it's been unpollinated or not pollinated. Fireflame boy, where did you get your Attenbury eyes and Palinensis? I actually got them from private growers from Facebook friends. So they're not, they don't have them often. Is the Ventricosa cross-Taliensis a good beginner plant? Well, Ventricosa is definitely a good beginner plant, cacti lover. Taliensis, as a species for me, it's sort of a medium grower. I think it's a cool plant. Being the Ventricosa will give that Taliensis a little bigger. You're welcome, Steph. So yeah, what else can we talk about here? Oops. I only had planned on doing this for about a half an hour, so we're at about the 5-minute mark there. One of the topics that I was going to talk about this time, I mentioned it a little bit the other day in the live feed, where I've really been heavily feeding my plants this year. I have been using fish fertilizer and seaweed fertilizer a lot this year as a foliar feed, which seems to be really good. The seaweed fertilizer you could probably even use in the house. And I just put it in a spray bottle. I use about a cap per gallon of water. And I put it in a pump sprayer and I give everything a spray. And I started really mildly with this last year on just the orchids. I haven't done it on the carnivorous plants. But I didn't see any ill effects from it, let's say. So this year I decided to go a lot stronger with it. And I find it doesn't smell much, it's really mild. I also picked up the fish fertilizer. I just started with this year, and I've done probably 3 fuller feedings with it. The first one was like half or quarter strength, half a cap per gallon of water sort of thing. And you can't use this in the house. It stinks really bad. I couldn't go in the greenhouse for the day after. But I think the plants really did react to that, and being I'm using them more frequently, I was sort of alternating. Once every 2 weeks I would use one or the other. And then I actually started, I upped the dose of this to 1 cap per gallon, and I put in 1 cap of this per gallon into the same thing, and I've been full of feeding at that ratio since early spring anyways. Again, it's not even summer yet, so I can't say I've had tons of results, but I have tons of spikes in here, tons and tons of spikes. The seaweed has all kinds of micronutrients and other amino acids in, and the fish fertilizer, I guess, is a really good source of nitrogen, among other things. So hopefully I'm going to see some really positive results from that. The other thing I did, and again, I talked about the fertilizer a little bit the other day. I found the Miracle-Gro tomato food. I'm just switching back to the camera here so I can see what you guys see. And so I've been using the Miracle-Gro tomato food, and fertilizing has always also been a pain in the butt for me, because you got to get out the watering can and up on a step stool and pour it into the plants, and it was always quite hard. So what I started doing again early this spring is I grabbed one of these guys here, and they're refillable. So it has a shower mode, a flat mode, and a spray mode. I don't know what they call it, a jet mode. And I can attach this to the hose and quickly go over the plants. I've measured it with a TDS meter. It comes out a little strong, but you're not using gallons of it either. You're just kind of quickly going over the plants with it. And I never fertilize on a dry plant. But I've had really good success. I've been able to increase my fertilizing this year from being a really arduous task that I had to do, and I would do it once or twice in the summertime, to this I can do like weekly now, and it's super easy. And to make it even easier, I'm just going to put that on the table there, and hopefully I don't spray my laptop with it. Here is my hose that I normally have going, that I water the plants with, fill the sink with, spray whatever I need to spray with. I put a switch on it here, and a quick disconnect, and I put a quick disconnect on there. So now anytime if I ever want to fertilize a plant, if it's just one plant, because I'm like, oh, I found you in the corner, I haven't fertilized you for a while, it's super easy to get all the fertilizer and just spray the one plant, turn it back on, and then you're good to go. So I'm not going to do that, of course, but that is how easy it is to fertilize the plants now. So at this point, I've been using it since early spring. I haven't seen any ill effects from it, and I've gone through probably 2 containers, 2 full boxes of food this season. And the plants, again, between that and the fertilizers, the fish and the seaweed, I've had lots of spikes, lots of new root growth, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. I'll do a more detailed video on that maybe sometime early in the summertime when I have better results. I don't normally like to do videos on that sort of thing until I have some proven results. And I'm always trying new things. That's the thing with this. I'm no expert on anything, and I'm always trying to figure out the next best way to do things to make it easier and get it done a little faster. So let's just see if there's any other comments here, and we can finish up there. Des, thanks for the reply. Good to know, and no worries. And it worries me. They seem to be yellow a bit. Hoping to end up with Alta Cassiana. Yes, just call me Des. Flameboy, how long have you been growing Nepenthes? Any advice for an amateur grower? I haven't been growing them all that long, maybe 5 years. And I started exactly, I started with the advice that I'll give you right now. Start with your really basic plants. I found myself, and plants are hard to come by, especially at first. My very first plant was my Ventricosta that's up there in the corner, and my Sanguinea that's right below it. They were both, I found them by fluke at my local garden center, and they were tiny little plants, seedlings, so I had these 2 little 4-inch seedlings. If you go back, well, I don't even know. Yeah, I was going to say, if you go back a few years, you might be able to find them in videos, but it's been 500 videos later, so you're not going to find them. Those are my first 2 plants. Then my next plant, I went with some nice popular hybrids, the Miranda there, which is why it's so big. That was one of my next ones, and it's done awesome. I love it. Great pictures on it. Really hard to screw up. And then on this side over here is the Ventrata that was my other plant that I just got. So I started with some easy species and some easy hybrids, and I didn't get them all at once. I probably got the first 2 one year, and then the next one the next year, and then third one the third year, and then after that it kind of really took off. And then I looked at getting a whole bunch more because I really enjoyed them. So yeah, just start easy. Make sure you have your conditions right. Before I went out and got a Raja, I made sure I could handle Raja conditions. And it's not just handling them for one season. You got to make sure, because every season is different. Whether you're in a house or in the greenhouse, every 3 months in here is like a completely different task. Basically now going into summertime, I've already prepared for summertime mode for the heat. Shade cloth is ready or up already. Misting systems are really good. I have the air conditioner. I know that my climate is good in here. And being I've gone through all the stages, all the seasons already, because the greenhouse is more than a year old. I know that I can handle them for these plants. But yeah, it's tough at first. Winter presents a different challenge than summer. And by the end of summer, then I got to start getting into fall mode, and the odd light starts coming back in here because the light outside decreases. And then in fall, I got to get into winter mode, and stuff starts to get bubble wrapped back up, and the heaters come back on, stuff like that. So. Angeline Lim, hi Brad, hello from Singapore. Thanks for great tips, really helped. You're welcome. Hey Mr. Chaos, Cacti Lover, hey, your intro, we get a quick glimpse at Milo cactus. Do you have or grow any cacti? That cactus photo actually came from, a lot of those photos actually came from a trip I did to Hawaii. So no, I don't have that cactus. That thing was like this big around. It was huge. But no, over the years I have collected a lot of my own photos, but that is definitely not one of them. Hello, Leah. Hello, Eric. Antonia, I think it's an effective way to fertilize the plants. I don't know. We'll see. I've seen what it's like to have nutrient deficient orchids, so I'm going to go the other end and see. I'm going to push it this year and see how much these orchids can handle for fertilizer before I do any damage. And so far, so good. As I say, every second watering, it seems to be something that I'm adding. I also, and I didn't talk about that because it's still new, but my tap water is really low in total dissolved solids, so I think some of my plants have some calcium deficiency, so I've recently added a few good containers, just sprinkles of crushed oyster shell in my plants, hoping to get a long-term slow-release calcium going in there as well. Hey, Harry Burks. How's the weather in Ontario? Sorry, Cactus Lover, I don't know why I won't let you post a link. I have thought of doing bonsai. I have a few bonsais in the yard. I have a few bonsais in here as well. I never really talk about the bonsais much. This is he's not looking super good right now, but there's one of my thickest bonsais. So it's doing pretty good. It needs a trim. Needs to be weeded. But yeah, I got a few of them. I mean, I do like the tropical bonsais a little better. I find the ones outside, I've killed a few because I do so good with them, and then all of a sudden it gets really hot here, and like one day without water, and it seems to be enough to like kill them outside, unless because I forget them in a sunny spot. Now they're like all tucked in the corners of the yard in the shades, and they never get any sun. Sandbag. Have you thought about putting a chart together that details the fertilizer strength you use for your plant class? You say you don't go for the hype. You use, what is the, oh yeah, I use a 28. I'm using the tomato fertilizer right now. And yeah, I just spray the plants. When I go over like Massivalias, I spray them quickly. When I go over the, so they don't get as much on them, and then it gets diluted in anyways. So it's, I guess, more about how much gets delivered in there in that amount of time. We'll see how this works for me anyways. But yeah, I've tried all kinds of strengths for fertilizers, and I've slowly over the years just kept increasing it and increasing it and increasing it. In some of my earlier videos, I said do it 350 parts per million total dissolved solids, and it went up to like 500. And now as long as I'm under 1,000, I find I'm okay. So it's cold there. Good morning, Janice. Leah, yeah, it's looking good. I've had it for a few years. Richard, Flytraps, since I live in New Orleans and have access to Spanish moss, which grows everywhere, and would like to know if it's safe to use around my orchids. I use Spanish moss around my vandas hanging around, and you can probably see some of the very back of the greenhouse there. The only trouble with wild stuff is you need to kill, I guess, I've never seen one, but there's chiggers and stuff like that. I don't even know what a chigger is, but when I was researching the Spanish moss, I guess it has all kinds of bugs in it. So you would need to hit that hard with something that would kill all the bugs before you brought it into your greenhouse or your grow area. I guess, and I mean, being that I don't live there, I don't know, maybe, but like here, they tell you, if you ever go down south, don't walk through the Spanish moss because you get full of chiggers and ticks and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's true or not. You would know probably better than me, but it's definitely something to think about. Bloody Mary, I haven't grown there, White Stars. I believe it is, I would probably grow it intermediate to warm though, if I remember the parents of it. Did I think about growing cactuses? I don't. I think in here it's too wet and too humid for most cactuses. Antonia, the shells I use are actually crushed oyster shell, not eggshell. I don't know if it makes a difference. I found them at just a feed store. I think they use them for chickens. They're really cheap, like $1 for a big bag of them. Fire Flame Boy, that's a little sensitive question. I invested quite a bit though. I'm not offended by it, but I was very thrifty with how I bought them. I got good prices on everything. Do Pelonia's leaves grow very slowly? My Formosana leaves take forever to grow. I'm afraid I might not be getting enough care. Angeline, they do grow fairly slowly, but don't forget to fertilize them as well. Just because they're outside, they're not that sensitive of a plant. You could go out there with like some fish fertilizer or seaweed fertilizer, easily give them a boost, get them growing again. But it should take a full season. The leaf should be that size by the end of summer. You got a greenhouse just starting to put up now. It'll be hard to heat a greenhouse in Ontario there. You're welcome, Richard. Do you have any plans? Do you have the plans on the build of your greenhouse? I want one, but can't find out a good way to build it. The plans, I designed this greenhouse completely myself. I had my old greenhouse, which was just 8 by 12, and it was just like a generic one out of the box. And all the things I hated about it, I made sure I didn't incorporate into this one. And then we actually have an awning out on the patio, and this is a mirror image of the awning, except for it's a little bit bigger. But the slope and everything like that of the roof and the height of everything is exactly as the awning is. My wife and I were sitting in our hot tub one time a few years back, and she went, you know what? A greenhouse of this shape would be such a great idea, because you don't have you don't just walk through the middle with a peaked roof. You can walk from one side to the other. So it's 7 feet tall on that side and 9.5 feet tall on that side with a slope. So yeah, it's great that you can walk from one side to the other. I did do a greenhouse build playlist. It has everything how I put it together. And I did go over my half-assed drawn plans that I had sketched out, because I built this in January in my basement in pieces. And then I finished it by about March. And all we had to do was take down the old greenhouse because it went in the same site. And these pieces, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces for the walls, and we just basically brought them out and connected them together. They all just like locked together. And then we just put it on the roof, which I already had the pieces made as well. So it took less than a day to build this out here because all the pieces are already built in the garage. Just kind of connected together like Lego. And connected together like better than I thought. This thing is so solid. It's amazing. So I would check out that playlist. It'll have everything on there. As I say, Flameboy, no offense, I don't care. I do everything thrifty. I like to have the technical stuff in here. I have to make sure everything call it, but yeah, I do it as thrifty as I can. My fogger down there, I got for free. My misting system, I got off eBay for 20 bucks. The pump I got, the pressure pump I got really cheap. It was like regular, should have been like 100 bucks. I got for like 30 bucks, stuff like that. I do everything as cheaply as I can. But anyways, that's going to be it for now. We're already running a little bit over, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. And you know, if it gets a good response, we'll do it again soon. If it doesn't get a good response, we'll do it again sometime in the future. So we'll go from there. If you missed any of it, after it's done and it processes itself, probably by the end of the day, this is going to be up on YouTube again, and you'll be able to watch it from start to finish if you missed any. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.